All right, everybody. I've spent 2 days with PaxPower. I've driven the Jackyl, I've driven their souped up Suburban, I've driven the Timberwolf Tundra. We've taken them off-road, we've given them the business, and those trucks are freaking awesome. So the first vehicle we have behind us is the Jackyl Suburban. We need to get a couple of these vehicles and take a trip out to Utah.
Yeah, we unfortunately flat Houston, Texas. We don't have a whole lot to play with, but yeah, all about pushing these things because I think they're a lot more capable of what people give them credit for. Man, that's pretty wild how that soaks that up.
It is. I was doing about 45 through there, which, yeah, everybody, high-speed off-roading is a lot different than just high speed because the winner of the Baja 1000 had a top speed of like 90 something miles an hour, but was averaging 20 something miles an hour.
Yeah, yours are right.
Oh man, this is fun.
Yeah, kind of wild to have a 7,000 pound SUV just bouncing
off
at 40 miles an hour. But I will say, something I tell people all the time on the phone, I've never regretted $1 spent in shocks.
Right.
Spend more money on suspension, it works better.
Yeah.
It's definitely the case.
It's definitely you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
I highly recommend everyone come down, and if you currently own a truck or SUV or you're thinking about getting a new one, talk to these guys and they will definitely hook you up.
Yeah, we figured out some stuff that other people haven't. Up until recently, you haven't been able to defeat the air ride and mag ride on these luxury SUVs. And if you took the air ride off, the top speed was limited to 82 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
Not what you want. So, yeah, we've been able to really figure out these GM SUVs and put our suspension on to keep the trucks happy.
I think I took that like a pro.
Yeah. Or the Suburban did.
Man, that supercharger sounds good. I would never get the gas mileage I'm supposed to get.
People ask about it, and I usually make the joke it's miles per gallon.
Yeah.
Miles per gallon.
It's definitely miles per gallon.
But it's really dependent on how you drive it. You know, you can get stock like mileage out of a supercharged truck, but you got to drive it like a stock truck.
Right. I hope everybody through the GoPro on the outside, the inside, the iPhone watching me and Ben, I hope everybody can really maybe pick up how this is handling and some of the speed in which we're hitting some of this on.
Yeah, we're going 40, 50 miles an hour on a rain rut, bumpy road, and like, honestly, it feels kind of like the freeway.
I've been on worse freeways. Should be legal to have this much fun.
Yeah.
This thing is mean looking. I love the black. I like the red accents. I like the red tow hooks. I like the PaxPower in red going across.
Yeah.
I know this has got a supercharger. I know y'all did a lot of work to it. So tell me a little bit about some of the specs and some of the things that y'all did.
Yeah, so this started life as a 2023 Suburban with the 6.2 liter. It's Z71 trim, though it could be anything. We could do a Tahoe, we can do a Yukon, we can do an Escalade, but essentially we want to start with a 6.2 liter with 4-wheel drive. We're going to put a supercharger on it, suspension on it, and really kind of wherever the customer wants to go from there.
Did y'all upgrade the tires?
Yeah, so our main packages on this are twofold. One, turning it into the off-road package, which consists of 2.5-inch coilovers on all 4 corners. We'll talk a little about how those ride in a second. Upper control arms, rear control arms, and that makes sure everything articulates properly, and that clears 35-inch tires for us. And this one's riding on 20-inch wheels, though it could use 17s. This one's on 20s because it has the Brembo big brake kit on the front.
I got you. So you need the larger wheels.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is on 35s, which, you know, to me is basically, if you really have an off-road truck, at minimum you want the 35s.
Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of the trucks stock, like, you know, whether it's the Chevy or the Toyota or even the F-150s come with a 33-inch tire, and of course they'll be 4-wheel drive and they'll claim off-road, but usually the 33s don't get it done and people always have to upgrade the tires anyway.
Yeah, I think this is impressive that we've got a 35 on a full-size SUV that fits in a garage and has full articulation. We'll go drive this. This thing is not rubbing. This thing is able to go through its travel, whether that be at the mall or on the trail. This truck actually works.
Now let's talk about performance. Let's talk about what's under the hood.
Yeah, so
what are we getting? If I come to you and say, I want a Jackyl Suburban, I want you, here's ever how much money, I want you to give me the 35-inch tires, put the supercharger, and what kind of specs am I going to get?
Yeah, so we're going to use a Whipple Supercharger. We think they're the best. We use them anytime they have a supercharger available. That's who we're going with. We've been working with them for years, going back to Hennessy as we talked about. It's a great product. It's a great company. We use their Gen 5 3.0 liter supercharger at about 7.5 pounds of boost, and that is enough for us to go from 420 stock rated horsepower to 650 horsepower.
So you're getting a 230 horsepower jump.
Yeah, 55% or something like that power increase.
You know, off the top of your head, what kind of, because when you put a supercharger on and everything, sometimes, you know, you tune it, things get geared a little differently. What kind of torque you're getting, especially, is it like more of a low-range torque? Is it more mid-range torque?
Yeah, it is.
The torque curve kind of.
These 6.2 are very much low to mid. A lot of people ask me, why does the 5.0, the Fords make more power? They rev further. Yeah. These 6.2 liters in these GM products make a lot of power in low to mid. That's their specialty, which makes them great on the road.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know this for certain, but similar vehicles like this will redline at 6,000 RPM.
Correct.
So
yeah,
keep everything low.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, and that is complemented by the exhaust, which adds a little horsepower. But yeah, these are very potent around town, accelerating. They may not win in an F-150 supercharged by us in a drag race, but who's drag racing their truck? Yeah. These have very quick torque power that's always there.
Basically, when I think of quick, low torque, I want to be able to be at a stop sign, obviously with no federales around, gun it and have my head snap back. Yeah. Like be able to be pushed, like me having to hold on to the steering wheel. Yeah. Basically.
Well, we'll let you test that in this one, because this one, feel free to launch it when you're out doing your test driving a little bit and see what you think.
And so y'all did upgrade the exhaust on this as well.
We did. It's a full Borla with the S-type mufflers, and then you'll see in some of the shots, we've got some really cool tips that fit into the factory bumper.
So if you thought the 6.2 V8 sounded good on this anyway, wait till you hear this, of it cranking up as well as giving it some gas and actually hearing the exhaust.
Yeah.
And make sure it definitely sounds good, because I could hear it on our way over here and I was in the Tundra.
Right.
I could hear it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, we're finding too that, you know, people want these bigger SUVs. You know, we're getting people calling like, I need a new family cruiser. I want something that my wife can drive that we can be proud of. And, you know, these just are a great platform and we can do a lot of cool stuff with them.
What makes these good is the wife can drive it. It's very versatile, complete utilitarian event. Let's be honest, a lot of men still want something fun to drive. They want all of that, but they don't want something that's going to go 0 to 60 in 8 or 9, 10 seconds. Yeah. They will still remember their 20s, you know what I'm saying, be able to give it a little gas. You know.
Yeah, and these aren't race trucks by any means. The tuning that we're able to implement on these means they drive like factory vehicles. Yeah. If you want to drive this around and have it feel like a 6.2 liter stock, it will. But you want to get into the pedal and that extra 50% power is there. But there's no problem putting wife or grandma or even a young learner in one of these. These things are very easy to drive and have stock-like driving characteristics.
No, they're great vehicles. You know, I've seen all y'all's vehicles online, and I've seen all on the videos. But to actually come to y'all's shop, see everything you're working on, you know, see just massive engine bays pulled out on all these vehicles, and then actually see, you know, the Suburban, the Silverado, the Tundra in person. I mean, video and pictures don't do them justice. You got to see these in person.
Yeah.
And they just really pop.
Yeah, and people don't know what all we make. I mean, we don't make a video of every truck.
Yeah.
So it's not till you come to the shop where you're like, wow, these guys are doing a lot of crazy color changes and big projects, and there's some engine swaps in the corner. Yeah, it's hard to make it to YouTube or all make it to the website, but we do a lot of cool stuff.
Well, that's where I come in. Try to help y'all with that. All right, everybody. Now we're in the Toyota Tundra. Ben had to leave, and in his sound judgment, he has left me the keys and the full reign of this Toyota Tundra, and we are going off-road. So we got everything on, and let's see, I'm going to put it in for high, and I hope y'all can pick up some of the exhaust when we actually get back in there. Let's go. This is fun as hell. I got the GoPro up here. I got the hope y'all enjoy these different camera angles, and I think I've figured out a way in this vehicle not to have to wear that damn thing on my head. This Tundra is sitting on 35 BF Goodrich KO2s like the Ford Raptor. Actually the same exact tire. They really did a good job with the suspension on this. Oh man, I was able to really kick up the speed coming out of there. The Suburban was smoother, I'm not gonna lie. And it has to do with the weight probably, but it was definitely smoother. That exhaust sounds good. They did a good job on that exhaust. The only thing he said was for me not to wreck the truck. Anything else goes. Said it before when I did the Raptor Assault, and I'll say it again here. I need to be an off-road Baja racer. That's just all there is to it. This is too much fun. I do think there are some Federales up here, but they haven't said anything to us yet. I mean, technically, I'm not going too fast. I think my head hit the GoPro. This is an effing riot. Behind me, I have another one of PaxPower's creations of Frankenstein, the Toyota Tundra Timberwolf. And when I think of Toyota, I think of quality, vehicles that last, but they're not necessarily the most exciting, and that's where PaxPower comes in. Ben, I look at this and I'm like, this isn't a normal Toyota. Yes, it has the iForce Max, but you got the Timberwolf decals on it. You have all the lights on it. You have the new front bumper on it. You put the KO2 tires on it. You got 35-inch tires on a Tundra, which is completely unheard of. Nobody is modifying Tundras. And that's why I think some people think of Tundras as being a little boring, because nobody really modifies them. It's just that good old trusty work truck that's going to last you till that you can pass down to your grandkids. Yeah. But y'all are taking that and completely rewriting the books on what you can expect and how a Tundra looks.
Yeah, so one of our mantras at PaxPower is to fill niches in the industry that the OEMs don't take care of. And so for a while that was the V8 Raptor when Ford only made V6s. Then it was a Raptor like Silverado because there was nothing like that on the market. Over the past couple of years, we've seen these new 22 Tundras come out and just kind of fall flat in the aftermarket. Nobody picked them up and ran with them. Nobody's really doing cool packages or builds around them. And we thought, let's take it on. So we went and bought this truck ourselves. We've been R&D'ing it for about 18 months. We've tried different suspensions, different accessories, and figured out these Tundras are actually pretty cool. And they make great trucks. They have awesome tech. They have awesome build quality. And we just fix where they fall short. We put great wheels and tires on them because they put some really sad wheels and tires on their trucks. We put awesome Icon suspension or maybe Fox or King. Get rid of those cheap shocks they put on these things. And then some visual enhancements like the flares and some functional enhancements like the bumpers. And then all of a sudden you apply that recipe of what it takes to make a cool truck to a Tundra, and the Tundra's a lot cooler afterwards.
So the problem with Toyota is to get a cool looking Tundra. Overall, they're a good looking truck. I like the redesign that they did about a year ago. But to get a Tundra that really pops, you got to get a TRD Pro.
Yeah.
Well, the percentage of TRD Pros they make is less than the percentage of Raptors Ford makes for the F-150s. Right. So they're hard to get. If you can get one, and then you're going to pay a markup. But I would put this up against any TRD Pro from an aesthetics point.
Absolutely. We've had guys come in with TRD Pros and asking, can they have the fender flares? Can they make their TRD Pro look more like this? Because if you look at a TRD Pro, it's not that distinct from the standard Tundra, and they're expensive. You know, it's in the 80s starting price. A lot of dealers want 510 over for them, and then there's not any of them. Whereas with this Timberwolf package, you could take any trim. If low cost was a priority, get you an SR5. If luxury is important to you, get a Capstone. We can turn any of them into a Timberwolf. Get this good off-road suspension, wheels, tires, visual cues. It can be applied to any Tundra.
Well, one of the things that Toyota messed up is you're going to have a Toyota racing development product for off-road racing, high-speed racing. They did upgrade the shocks finally. You know, they got rid of the leaf springs on the TRD Pro and went with the Fox shocks. They're still not the live valve shocks, but they're the Fox shocks. But they kept the 33-inch tires.
Yeah.
The tires are for what you're advertising it for. It's just, it doesn't work. These are KO2s. They work.
Yeah. These are actually Raptor spec tires. So it's a great tire to use. It's a load range C, which is perfectly suited to this weight truck. There's actually a lot of suspension in tires too. So that load range C absorbs a lot of bumps. And then also it's lightweight. Tire is a 35-inch and weighs around 62 pounds. That leads to good acceleration and good gas mileage. You're still getting good economy out of this truck with 35-inch wheels and tires. This one mixed still gets 18 miles to the gallon combined, which is still really good for a truck on 35s.
And I noticed too, y'all put the electronic running boards on it?
Yeah.
So it needs it because I was shocked at how high I had to get up to get into it since y'all were able to put the new shocks and the 35s on it.
Yeah, we got good ground clearance. I mean, this thing when it sits in the lot is very similar in height to a Raptor or one of our Jackyls. It really fits in. And just one thing before we kind of move on, know that we're not done with this. If you know us for our wide bodies and our mid-travel, this truck's gonna get a few more iterations of build to it. So we're gonna go from being kind of first to market in the Tundra, but we wanna take that market over and do some really cool stuff with these.
Are y'all seeing a lot of good interest from the Tundra community?
Absolutely, they've been neglected. So I feel like some of them are calling just for therapy. They're like, no one has touched this truck. No one can answer my questions. Dealers are scared to modify them. Four-wheel parts or four-wheel shops are scared to modify them. Nobody knows what size tire. So people are just calling. There's such a shortage of information and shortage of upgrades for these new Tundras that, yeah, people are interested, but also just want to get answers and find out what direction to go with these trucks.
It's like Toyota, and whether it's true or not, it's like they put out this mystical secret sauce that everybody's scared of. You know, and nobody wants to touch it. Be like, no, it is the way you bought it, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
But y'all cracked the secret sauce.
Yeah. Oh man, we love tearing apart brand new vehicles and figuring it out. Like, there's not really much we're scared of. You know, all these sensors, adaptive cruise, and self-driving, and people are like, oh, you can't modify the suspension, that will mess up that. And it's like, we figure all that stuff out. People are way too nervous about that. It's great, it gives us an opportunity to be exclusive in the market, but there's a way around all this stuff. And yeah, we can work with any Tundra, get rid of air ride, you know, the sensors still work, no lights on the dash.
I got to ask you this question because it's a point of contention with old school Toyota people. Toyota doesn't offer the V8. A lot of people are upset about that. So they offer the iForce and the iForce Max. This particular Tundra has the iForce Max pushing out 337 horsepower, or 437 horsepower.
Yep.
437 horsepower, about 580 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah.
So it's very torquey. It's got more torque than a stock Ranger or a stock Raptor. You've driven this. I've only driven this for 30 minutes today. You've driven this and put a lot of miles on it. How do you like the iForce Max?
Love it. So I don't always love 6-cylinder turbos because a lot of times you're waiting on that turbo to spool up and you get weird shifts out of the transmission because it doesn't know what to do. And so that's people's biggest complaint about V6 turbos. You'll hear that with the Raptor, you'll hear that with these Tundras. With the hybrid, that is there to fix that problem. They fill that gap of the turbos spooling up with the electric engine. So they actually feel like V8s. I mean, if you drove around with earplugs in, you wouldn't know the difference because as soon as you hit the accelerator, that 580 foot-pounds of torque is there and moving you along. And then the turbos spool up and it's very seamless. So I think that hybrids are the solution for those guys that want the V8 torque and power out of a V6. I think the hybrids do that. Now, as far as the sound, you can't fix that.
But y'all did put an exhaust on it.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good. And we'll get some video of that.
It does sound
yeah,
good.
It's a lot. We were pretty pleased with it. I mean, we're the V8 supercharged guys, but this doesn't sound bad by any means.
No, it sounds great for a V6, which let's say hybrid. So it definitely sounds good. And the only way I was able to get the turbo lag out of my Raptor was to tune it. And then once you tune it, then the gear shifts become more predictable. But a lot of people don't want to do that because of various reasons. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that you actually like the iForce Max engine because it is controversial with a lot of the Tundra fans.
Yeah, and also these Tundras aren't as big as the Ford and Chevys. They are a smaller truck, so this V6 hybrid, it's plenty fast and maybe one of the faster trucks you can buy.
Well, like you're saying, it's a 7/8 full-size truck.
That's what I think. I think they're 7/8 trucks.
But with the 35s, it's getting closer.
Yeah, and really, like I say 7/8, it's not a bad thing. I mean, not everybody wants a super wide truck. So if you're doing smaller trails, like this slightly smaller truck is going to be a lot better off-road.
Yeah, that's the knock with some of the bigger off-road trucks is the width doesn't, if you're wide open, it's fine. But a lot of trails, especially in the south, where you've got a lot of woods and mountains, are narrow. And you're going to be knocking mirrors off, and you're going to be scraping the side fender.
Yeah, so something like this is perfect for those guys. I mean, it's got four-wheel drive, big tires, winch. I mean, for an East Coast guy running fire roads, it's perfect.
And let me just go ahead and tell you, they have a lighting package that would kill any vampire you came across. I turned it on earlier, and I was going to come around and take some pictures and some B-shot footage. If there was any blinking in these lights, I would have had a seizure. Like, it was blinding. Like, I was like, no, we got to turn these off. I can't take a picture of this.
Yeah.
We got to turn this off. So they have definitely hooked this up. So if you wanted to take it nighttime off-roading, it would be a well-lit trail.
Yeah.
Let me assure you.
We get to know our customers. So the base package here is the basic elements, the suspension, the control arms, the wheels and tires, the fender flares, the exhaust. We figure that's what most people are gonna wanna do to their Tundra. But from there, people can go wherever. So if people wanna run off-road at night or wanna go off-road, then yeah, things like bumpers and lights are where we're gonna put a priority. Maybe they want a nice truck for the city. Well, then power steps and bed covers are what we're gonna do. We build overlanding builds, whatever. We get to know the customer and put the focus on what they want. Lights have come a long way in the past few years. I mean, it's pretty incredible what these pods can do.
With me today from PaxPower is Ben Noel. Ben is one of the brain trust here at PaxPower. He's got his hands involved in everything and every vehicle that comes through here. Ben, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about, I guess, some of your experience. You used to work for Hennessy?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, motorsport all my life. I used to have an office job, but in my spare time was building cool cars, racing dirt bikes, things like that, hooked on motorsports. I had a wife that said, hey, chase your dream, and that led to managing Hennessy Performance for several years. Learned kind of what to do, learned the industry, learned what customers might want. And while sports cars weren't really my thing, trucks were. So my business partner and I decided to go out and kind of apply that same recipe that they do at Hennessy. High quality products, fast, powerful, but apply it primarily to trucks. Truck customers are awesome. People live in these things. They're important to them. So we get to know our customers and get to build them some awesome products.
Well, the key thing here is like, trucks are no longer just work vehicles. I'm old enough to remember coming up, when people had trucks, they were either work trucks or they were trucks so they could work on the weekends. But there was always another vehicle that they would take the family out in or do the, thing like that. Not anymore. These things are the daily drivers now.
Absolutely. These check all the boxes, and we talk about boxes that haven't even been created yet. We sometimes refer to these as super trucks because these trucks have big horsepower, have awesome suspension, have wide bodies that look different than anything else, but then you get inside and what do you got? You got AC seats, huge screen, panoramic roof, adaptive cruise control. These are luxury vehicles.
Enough
also
room for a small army in the back seat.
Yeah, they've grown so much inside. People use these for all types of things.
So how long has PaxPower been doing this?
About 5.5 years, and so far in our 5.5 years, we've covered 37 states and 31 countries. What we make is so unique, so we send these things everywhere.
So I know you do Chevys. Obviously, we'll talk about the Tundra, and I know you do Fords. Do y'all do Dodges as well? Is it?
Occasionally,
yeah.
But a lot of times how these vehicles came to be is that we went out and bought them for ourselves, modified them how we would modify them for ourselves, and then R&D'd them, turned them into packages. We are Chevy and Ford guys, my business partner and I. We've expanded a little bit. The Tundra is my wife's, the Suburban is his. We've added a bit more to the fleet, but we've kind of stayed clear of the Rams. Just hasn't appealed to us, but if we have a customer that's super into it, we'd be happy to dig into one and do something cool.
Number one thing I always look for is performance. Like, how much horsepower am I getting? How much torque am I getting? How fast can I pull a quarter in? Even though it's a truck, sometimes I'll pretend it's a sports car, okay? But there's more to it than that. There's I've told people who's worked on trucks before, I don't want to just have fun for 10 or 11 seconds. This thing's my daily driver.
Yeah.
It needs to be comfortable, in a daily situation as well as be fast.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that y'all take pride in because there are a lot of manufacturers that'll, jack a truck up 3 feet, put big tires on it, rides like crap, and then you're replacing shocks and you're replacing your suspension every couple of years and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, we get customers that come to us all the time and say, I want the Supercharger, but I'm not gonna be racing it. I think the off-road stuff is cool, but I'm not gonna be running Baja at 40 miles an hour. Yeah. That's not necessarily why you do this stuff. Like you said, it's just awesome to have the extra power, whether that is you just like knowing you have it or getting on the freeway. It's nice having the awesome suspension, whether you're off-road or not. These trucks ride amazing on-road. I often compare them to a Bentley in terms of how it soaks up all the undulations and bumps in the road.
Yeah, I would compare these trucks and the Raptors and everything, the way the suspensions work now. When you're driving on the interstate or on the road doing 50 to 80, I would put it up against any Cadillac.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just how they ride now.
Yeah.
And if you want to go jump a sand dune, at 60 miles an hour can do that too.
Right, that's what we're talking about, checking all the boxes.
Yeah.
And so we don't just focus on one thing. It's not just the power. It's just not the suspension. It's everything at PaxPower. So visual, suspension, wheels and tires, exhaust. And even though we put everything out there as a package to start the conversation, pretty much everything that comes out of our shop is one of one. So even things like accessories, bed covers, tents on the back, gun safe, stereo systems, whatever, we're happy to incorporate it into the build.
So I could bring you, hypothetically, I could bring in a 4-wheel drive, quad cab, F-150 XL or Sport.
Yep.
$55,000 vehicle. And I could say, I want 35-inch tires, I want a supercharger on it, I want it leveled, I want some new graphics, and y'all are just a one-stop shop, and I could give it to y'all, and a couple months later, y'all call me back and say, hey, come pick up your new truck.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had a rancher recently do the same thing. He'd owned 3 Raptors, but he wanted to build something for himself on his new truck. Went out, got an STX with vinyl floor, and we did everything how he wanted it. The body, supercharger, amazing shocks, amazing suspension. He sends me videos of him on the ranch running dirt roads at 50, 70 miles an hour. So if there's a customer and he wants something, call us. We'd love to build it and make it one of one for them.
Now, are y'all strictly trucks, or eventually y'all branch out, and if somebody brings in a vet and says, hey, I want to jack this up to 1,000 horsepower, I want to start taking it to track nights on open nights, or some of the other sports cars / supercars, eventually we all break into that, or right now, I guess near term, just keeping it to the core?
Yeah, mainly keeping it to the trucks. I mean, these truck customers are so much different than those sports car customers. Yeah. They need this to do a lot of things. They tend to be like business owners or guys that really know what they want. And we're happy to get to know them and build them. We think of these as custom homes of trucks. And so we want to kind of live in our wheelhouse of trucks and SUVs and just be really good at that, and let other people go for mile records and quarter-mile records.
Well, you can tell the manufacturers are designing it that way too, because like in my Raptor, it's got a measuring kit and a workbench on the tailgate, and then it's got the fold-out little desk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a Baja truck.
Right.
Like this is meant to do 80 over the sand. What is this all you? But it's built. It's got work truck stuff in it. It's got all the connectivity, and it's got the Wi-Fi hotspot.
Yeah, and now we're incorporating power, so you can go camping and your truck will power your campsite.
Yeah. One thing I noticed with y'all too is the lights that y'all put on. The lights look amazing. And so y'all put those on, integrate them in with the switches and everything, make sure everything's put in nice, because I see some people do it, and then it looks nice from a distance. Then when you get closer, it looks like a total S show, because there's wires going everywhere. They didn't get it professionally done. Stuff spliced in and everything like that. How
a lot of trucks have been built to date. Somebody wants to build something like this. They've got to go to 5 different shops to get it done. Suspension shop, body shop, performance shop, wheel and tire shop. Being a one-stop shop allows us to up our quality. We take these vehicles apart once, run all the wires we're ever going to need for the whole project, get everything done, then put the body on so everything is tucked away and routed and professional fit and finish. And that is largely because we get to build these from start to finish, so we're in control and we can do it how we do and up to our quality.
Yeah. And I noticed, I've been to dealers and I've seen the Black Widows and I've seen the different things. I will be politically correct. I don't think they're the best builds. I don't think they use the best quality. I think people who usually buy them tend to trade them in after 2 or 3 years, and they're shocked that the resale values drop so much. And I just know, and I've looked at y'all's trucks. I mean, even when I got here this morning, first thing I did when I got outside with Scott was start looking at the suspension, right, and looking at the shocks and how everything was built under there and everything like that. And that's definitely not y'all. I mean, it is top-notch work with top-notch products.
Those trucks are a big motivator for us, because we can look at those trucks and go, wow, people are really going to pay $20,000 for this, because for $20,000 we can do something special. Yeah. We can take that price point and give you Fox 2.5 shocks and BFG tires and method wheels and quality exhaust system from Borla, whereas those companies are using cheap parts across the board to up their margins. We just look at it the other way. We sacrifice our margin and give you more quality parts.
And one thing I want the audience to know too is PaxPower is really big. The first time I saw you guys was on TFL videos when they came down, and they was the white truck that they were driving. They put out a lot of trucks a year. Like they put out 200 to 300 trucks a year. So this isn't a mom and pop shop that's just, you know, it's just the shade tree garage in the back, and you know, we're doing this as a favor for our buddy, and we're gonna go ahead and just jack up his truck. These are professionals who crank out a lot of trucks a year with a lot of happy customers. So these guys definitely know what they're doing, and you're definitely gonna get your money's worth when you get you a PaxPower truck.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we like to get to know our customer too. It is not one size fits all. You talk about the Black Widows, the Roushes, the Shelby, the Hennessy. One choice of wheel, one choice of bumper. All the trucks are the same. With us, because every truck is made to order, everything turns out to be a one of one. The customer's in control of everything, and they get the exact truck they want.
It's like building a house or building a truck from scratch almost. Okay, these are the wheels I want. Okay, this is the bumper I want. This is where I want the lights.
Yeah.
This is the particular supercharger I want. You know, this is, and you just go through and pick out, you know, it's like picking out, okay, well, this is the paint I want in this room, and this is the hardwood I want in this room.
Absolutely. People do color changes with us. We've done over 20 color changes, from tans to matte blacks to Porsche Nardo gray. Like, really, the sky's the limit. Like, whatever you want, we can probably build it.
And this is true because, I kid you not, there is a Boba Fett truck in their parking lot. And while I am a Star Wars fan and I respect Boba Fett, I can think of a few other Star Wars characters I probably would have modeled the vehicle after, like all black with a bunch of red accents, have a supercharger line that kind of sounds like Darth Vader breathing. But that's just me. But and it is wrapped in a Boba Fett wrap that makes it look like his spaceship.
Yeah.
I kid you not. It is nuts. And we might get some pictures of that tomorrow.
Yeah, but again, that's a customer that called. Yeah. He owns an animation studio that works for Hollywood, so he loves movies. And he said, yeah, I want one of your V8 Raptor conversions, tons of ADD parts, supercharger, wheels, tires, but I want Boba Fett theme. We're like, all right, well, we've got a graphic guy that will knock that out of the park for you. And so we have a Boba Fett Raptor that we're going to be releasing in a couple of weeks.
I probably would have went with the matte black, but to each his own.
Yeah.
But it is great. We will get some shots of that. It's I respect it. I respect it. You know, hey, if you're paying for it, get what you want to get.
Right, right.
PaxPower is a great company located here in Houston. Shoot them a message, go to their website. I'll put it in the description below. They'll take care of you. Whatever truck you have, whatever you want to do to it, your only limitation is your imagination to what they can do. So next time, remember, if you catch yourselves on the back roads of Tijuana and you got a fast car or truck and there's no federales around, go ahead and give it the business and have a good time with it. We'll talk to y'all later. Have a good one.